Hello children, good morning. As promised, today I'll be dealing with the very first chapter of your supplementary, that is a triumph of surgery. Moreover, this is given in our syllabus until online classes continues. See the title, a triumph of surgery. Surgery you can understand to operate on medical ground, and triumph means victory. So obviously we are going to have a certain victory, maybe, may not be, because of surgery or after an operation. So before we go into the chapter, let me read out the beginning of this chapter. Tricky, a small dog, is pampered and overfed by his rich mistress. He falls seriously ill, and his mistress consults a veterinary surgeon. Does he perform an operation? Question mark. Does the dog recover? Question mark. So, these are the questions, a set of questions that we have to find out the answers of those questions from this story, A Triumph of Surgery. Before we go into the story, let us try and understand what are the activities which are given to us in order to find out the probable answers from this story. And there are ways Mrs. Pumphrey will read about Tricky. Dot number 2, what does she do to help him? Is she wise in this? And finally we have, who does I refer to in this story? So these are the questions. Keeping in mind all these questions, let us go into the story. Since we have been told in the very beginning that it's a story of a small dog, the name of that dog is Tricky. And we have also been told in the beginning that this dog is pampered. Pamper means to take care of somebody in extreme. You just keep on taking care all the time, through feeding, through through playing, through having association with that object or with that person. That is called pampering. And this dog was pampered by his rich mistress, a rich lady we have in this story. Ultimately, that dog falls ill, and then his mistress consults a surgeon from a veterinary department. Vets or veterinary, they are known for the treatment of animals. So now the question is, since we have been told that this is the victory of a surgery, so question comes in our mind whether the surgery takes place or not. This we have to find out, whether the doctor performs a surgery or an operation or not in reality, and what was the condition of the dog later. These are the things we have to find out from this story, Triumph of Surgery. See, in the beginning we have been asked a question, who does I refer to in this story? And you see, the beginning of your story, the very first line, or your story begins with this word, with this letter I. I was really worried about Tricky this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. He had become hugely fat, like a bloated sausage, with a leg at each corner. His eyes, bloodshot and rheumy, stared straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaws. This is the beginning of this story, and I obviously stands for or refers to the, within single commas, I refers to the story writer or the narrator, or maybe, though it's in advance to say that probably this is the vet or the doctor. So when the doctor saw the condition of Tricky, he simply stopped his car, and he found that Tricky was there with his mistress. And when he saw the condition of that dog, he was surprised, he was shocked rather, because of the physique, or the body of the dog, or the appearance of the dog. The shape of the dog. And he describes for us that the dog has become hugely fat, and it has become as if a bloated sausage, with a leg at each corner, as if it's not the body of a dog, but it is a bloated sausage that has been given 4 legs at each corner. It at first appearance, it does not look like a dog. And as far as his eyes are concerned, eyes were red, bloodshot means red, and watery. Rheumy means watery. Water was coming out from his eyes. And he was simply staring. And straight ahead. And his tongue was out of his mouth. It was lolled up from its jaw, from his jaws. So this was the first paragraph that the writer is trying to explain about this dog, all about this dog, when he saw him, outside. And after this we have the second paragraph, Mrs. Pumphrey. Now the writer is trying to introduce Mrs. Pumphrey to us. Mrs. Pumphrey was a bit heavy, and in order to explain, she started explaining about her dog, and she says, I quote, "He was so listless, Mr. Harriet," full stop. So, Mr. Harriet, probably this is the writer or the doctor or the vet. And she is explaining her dog's condition to Mr. Harriet, the vet, that his dog is not fine. He is listless. Listless means anxious, not at ease, uncomfortable. And she also says that her dog has got no energy now. And she herself says that she is of the opinion that her dog was suffering from malnutrition. Malnutrition, when you're not able to provide a diet food to somebody, then it is called malnutrition. And she also says that though she has started giving him some extras, it been meals to build him up. And in that extras, we have malt, we have cod liver oil, we have a bowl of Horlicks at night, and whatnot. These are the extras that she has started giving her dog in addition to his regular meals, in between regular meals. Nothing much really. This was what that has made Mrs. Pumphrey worried as far as her dog was concerned. So in the first para, what do we find? That the doctor himself saw the dog and his condition. In the second paragraph, the writer, the owner of the dog, or Mrs. Pumphrey, the lady of that dog, she herself explained her case, her dog's case to that doctor, to that vet. And she gave all sorts of information about his fooding and extra nourishment that she was giving to her dog. And did you cut down on the sweet things as I told you? This was the question made by the doctor. He asked her whether was she following his advice, what he gave to her when they met in the last term. Then she said, yes, I did it for a bit. She was doing, but not aptly. But he seemed to be so vague, I had to run in. And then she has got an excuse that as because he was not really comfortable, so I had to relent. Means I was not so rigid. I was not so strict as far as the doctor's advices were concerned. He does love cream cakes and chocolates, and I can't bear to refuse. The dog just loves these things, and she cannot refuse. She cannot say no to those things. And that is why the dog has become hugely fat. That made even the doctor worried. I looked down again at the little dog. That was the trouble. Jackie's only fault was greed. So in this particular in these lines, we can say that the doctor immediately understood the problem of that dog, and he found out that this was because of his greed, because of his, eating habit that has made him hugely fat. And he had never been known to refuse food. As far as this dog was concerned, he had never refused food. He had never said no to food. He would tackle a meal at any hour of the day or night. You simply give him the meal at any time, he would finish it up. This shows that the dog was very greedy, and because of his greed, he has become so. And writer says, the doctor says, I wondered about all the things Mrs. Pumphrey hadn't mentioned. The doctor was sure that there are so many other things which have not been mentioned by Mrs. Pumphrey. What she used to give to her dog in addition to his regular meals, that this vet could understand after having a look onto that dog. Are you giving him plenty of exercise? So these are the two basic questions. Number one was that whether are you following my advices or not. Number two, whether you're taking him on plenty of exercises or not. On this question, Mrs. Pomper replied that yes, he has little walks, and but you see, and she has got some other excuses like his gardener. I mean, her gardener has gone somewhere because of lumbago. Lumbago is a kind of a disease where you have pain in your back. That is called lumbago. So because of lumbago, the gardener has gone somewhere, and that is why no one is there to take him on exercises and all that. And so there has been no ring throwing also because of that gardener. He is not able to. No, there is nobody to play with him as far as ring throwing, activity was concerned. So in short, what do we get? That this dog is being pampered. Feeding somebody is a different thing, and overfeeding, keep on feeding all the time, and along with your regular diet, if you keep on giving somebody something extras in form of heavy diet, then the picture would be like this. So Mrs. Pomfrey, what do we understand? That Mrs. Pomfrey is a lady who simply pampers a dog. And as far as her dog's condition is concerned, that is because of her pampering. This is pampering of Mrs. Pomfrey. Don't get confused. Pomfrey is the name and pampering is the verb. So this is because of pampering of Mrs. Pomfrey that has made her dog, hugely fat, as if a bloated sausage that has been given 4 legs at each corner. Now, what you have to do, I'll be taking only this much of story today. I've just introduced that we have Mrs. Pomfrey, we have a vet, the doctor or the vet, Mr. Hilliot, and we have the dog. And the story is all about this dog and his pampering by his mistress, Mrs. Pomfrey. I will continue with the same story tomorrow. Till then, thank you.